Chosen one. Listen, this is not another random moment on your feed. Heaven has pressed pause on everything else just to get this word into your spirit. You were not meant to scroll past this. You are not like the rest. You were never built for the crowd. You were designed for the crown. There are moments in time when the supernatural collides with the natural, when eternity leans in close and history begins to shift. For you, that moment is coming this Thursday. Not next year. Not one day. Not maybe. Thursday is heaven's scheduled appointment with your destiny. The alarms in the spirit realm have already sounded. You've been feeling it, your sleep interrupted. Your spirit stirred. The warfare increased. That's not anxiety. That's not coincidence. That is your spirit, recognizing the clock of heaven counting down toward a moment that can no longer be delayed. This is not just a Thursday. This is a divine launch point. A crossing over. A line in the sand. And you, yes, you are standing at the edge of it. You were born for this. You've survived what should have crushed others. You've endured what nobody saw. And you're still standing. That's not luck. That's divine preservation. Heaven didn't keep you alive for nothing. There's a weight of glory resting on your name. There's a mission locked inside your very breath. Chosen one. Hear this. Hell has thrown everything at you to make you think this day would never come. But this Thursday is something hell can't stop. God has circled this day in the spirit. Not for your destruction, but for your revealing. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. The enemy sees your activation before you do. That's why he's fought your mind, isolated your heart, and tried to bury your faith. Because when a chosen one wakes up, the kingdom of darkness trembles. When a chosen one says yes, entire bloodlines shift. When a chosen one steps out, regions are shaken. That's why you felt alone. That's why the silence has been loud. Because heaven has hidden you for such a time as this. But this Thursday, the covering lifts, the mantle reveals, and the oil begins to flow. The Spirit of God is moving with purpose over your life. There's a holy fire that's been building quietly, but it will not stay quiet any longer. God is calling you to attention. Not next week, not next season. Now, this is a divine moment. And it's not just about you, it's about every life connected to your obedience. Every soul that will be reached through your yes. Every chain that will break because you chose to rise. Don't play small here. Don't minimize what God has marked. There is something fierce in you. Something eternal. Something chosen. The word of the Lord came through Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you. You are not moving forward with fear. You are rising in power. You are stepping into this Thursday not with hesitation, but with holy fire. Every test you've endured has been preparation. Every tear has watered the ground you are about to walk on in victory. What once looked like loss was divine setup. What felt like silence was sacred strategy. Thursday is not just a calendar day, it is a spiritual doorway. Will you walk through it? Will you ignore the voice of fear and respond to the call of destiny? Will you believe that everything you've survived has built you for everything you're about to carry? Heaven is not asking for perfection. Heaven is asking for your surrender. The enemy will try to distract you. Doubt will whisper. Old patterns will knock. But you don't belong there anymore. You don't fit where you used to. You've outgrown old fear. You've outlived the shame. You've outlasted the plan of the enemy. Chosen one. It's time to step. It's time to move in alignment with the Spirit of God and not the opinions of man. Heaven is backing you. Angels have been assigned to you. The gates of hell will not prevail against you. And when Thursday arrives, you will feel it. The shift, the weight, the release. The moment when everything that has been pressing against you will break open for you. If your spirit bears witness to this word, comment 444 right now as a prophetic act. Not for the algorithm, but as a signal to heaven that you are ready. Before the rising, there is always the isolation. You felt it long before you could explain it, when people you loved started to drift, when conversations turned cold, when the places that once felt like home began to suffocate you. That wasn't rejection. That wasn't abandonment. That was divine separation. God never isolates to punish. He isolates to prepare. When something holy is being formed in you, heaven will protect it from contamination. Not everyone was allowed to walk with you into this season, because not everyone was built to see what's about to be revealed in you. You've wondered why your prayers seem to echo, why the crowd moved on, why doors didn't open. But what you didn't realize is that God wasn't just closing doors, He was sealing wombs, because something was being conceived in you that required silence, stillness, and solitude. Chosen one. The wilderness was never a detour. It was a delivery room. The hiding place wasn't a prison, it was a sanctuary. You weren't being forgotten, you were being formed. There are levels of calling that demand solitude. There are anointings that require quiet. When God's hand is heavy upon someone's life, the distractions have to die. The noise has to fade. Because intimacy with God cannot be developed in a crowd. This is why you've often felt like the outsider, even in rooms full of people. You sensed something different on you. Not better, different. Set apart. Marked. Not fully understood. Not fully received. Because the deeper your calling, the lonelier your path. But take heart. You were never alone. God has been closer in your isolation than you even knew. In the silence, He was speaking. In the stillness, He was shaping. When you felt overlooked, heaven was observing, and while others were being celebrated publicly, you were being cultivated privately. Don't despise the hidden seasons. Don't rush out of them. What God does in secret always sustains what He reveals in public. Think of Joseph. Before the palace came, the pit. Before the favor came, the forgetting, sold by his brothers, silenced in prison, stripped of everything, and yet never abandoned by God. Because in the darkness, his character was being forged. In the solitude, his spirit was maturing. And when the time came, no man could block what God had already ordained. So it is with you. Your silence hasn't been wasted. Your tears haven't been ignored. Your loneliness has not gone unnoticed. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You're not late. You're right on heaven's schedule. Because when God sets someone apart, it often looks like loss before it feels like gain. He will strip what's familiar to make room for what's holy. He will break your rhythm to introduce His timing. And He will remove the voices around you so you can hear Him without interference. Chosen one. Don't confuse separation with failure. Don't label yourself based on temporary distance. You are in divine alignment, even when it doesn't look like it. This is how God moves. This is how he shapes leaders, prophets, and reformers. He isolates, he ignites, he then reveals. You're in the second phase, and it's painful. Yes, but it's necessary. Everything you thought was rejection was actually heaven's redirection. That friend who disappeared, covered by God. That opportunity that ghosted you, blocked by heaven. That season that dried up, released on purpose. God was never trying to hurt you. He was protecting the oil. Because the weight that's coming with your calling demands internal strength. It requires discernment. It needs a deeper trust. You can't carry what you're about to carry and still crave the approval of people. That's why the separation had to happen. Let go of what didn't stay. Release what didn't understand you. Bless what left. And prepare your spirit for what's ahead. As it is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, I am doing a new thing. I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. You have been in the wilderness. Yes, but the wilderness is not your final destination. It's your launching ground. You're almost through it. There's a new sound rising in your spirit, a new clarity forming in your heart, a new boldness being stirred in your soul. You don't need validation anymore. You don't need crowds to feel seen. You've walked long enough with God to know that He sees in secret and rewards in public. The curtain is about to lift. But don't rush it. Let God finish what He started in the hidden place. Because when He brings you out, it won't just be for you. It'll be for every person who's watching, every soul who doubted, every voice that dismissed you. God's going to use you as the evidence that hidden seasons birth holy destinies. This isolation is almost over. Hold still. Heaven hasn't forgotten you. It's preparing to reveal you. You've always known it. Even when you couldn't explain it, there was something about you that didn't match your surroundings. From a young age, your presence carried weight. Rooms shifted when you walked in, not because of arrogance, but because of atmosphere. You weren't made to blend in. You were born to disrupt. Chosen one. This is not ego. This is evidence. You carry something spiritual that flesh cannot explain. You were not crafted to conform. You were anointed to confront, not with anger, but with authority, not with pride, but with power. That's why you never fit. That's why you always felt other. Because you are. You're not just gifted, you're marked. And when heaven marks you, earth will often misunderstand you. The light you carry irritates darkness. The truth in your spirit exposes deception in others. Your discernment makes liars uncomfortable. Your purity unsettles compromise. Your silence convicts those who've grown numb. That's why the warfare followed you. That's why you've been slandered, falsely accused, and misread. Because the enemy knew, if you ever found out who you really are, you'd become a threat to every stronghold he's established. You are the disruption he fears, the intercessor that awakens a generation, the warrior who doesn't need an audience to make impact, the vessel through whom God is about to release fire, deliverance, and truth. And that's why the pressure increased right before this moment. Because there's a collision happening. The old identity you tolerated can no longer carry the assignment heaven is releasing. And now, this Thursday, something is about to erupt in your life that will announce to every realm. This one is not ordinary. This one is chosen. But here's the key. Before heaven reveals you, you must fully accept it. That means stop watering yourself down to make others comfortable. Stop shrinking to fit into spaces God never sent you to. Stop apologizing for the weight of your anointing. Stop pretending you don't see what God has clearly shown you. This is your wake-up call. This is your confirmation. This is your moment. Comment, "I'm not sorry." Say it boldly. Say it as a declaration. Because for too long, you've apologized for being too intense, too sensitive, too deep, too different. But you weren't created to be safe. You were created to be sent. Every chosen one reaches this breaking point, the moment where silence is no longer obedience, and withdrawal becomes disobedience. The moment when the mantle can no longer be hidden under the mask of normalcy. You've reached that place. This is it. No more shrinking, no more self-betrayal, no more apologizing for the fire inside you. Heaven has trusted you with this calling. Don't trade it for comfort. Don't trade it for approval. Don't trade it for company. If they have to misunderstand you to maintain their comfort, let them go. If they mock your passion, they were never meant to run with your fire. If your presence provokes their compromise, so be it. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them assume. You're not here to win a popularity contest. You're here to usher in the kingdom of heaven. You are an atmosphere shifter, a spiritual earthquake, a divine interruption. You were sent to flip the script, not follow the status quo. That's why the attacks have been so personal, because your calling is surgical. Your authority is specific. You've been sent as a voice to places that have gone spiritually mute, as oil to dry bones, as light in thick deception, as a sword in soft rebellion. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat, but you. You terrify hell, not because you shout, but because you obey, not because you're loud, but because you're loyal to the call. And heaven backs those who refuse to bow. It is written in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 9, "But if I say, I will not mention his word or speak any more in his name, his word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot." You've reached that point, haven't you? You can't hold it in anymore. The truth is burning. The revelation won't let you rest. The stirring won't let you stay silent. So, speak, declare, move, and never again apologize for being set apart. God didn't place you here to decorate the room. He placed you to declare the word. Let the fire offend. Let the truth convict. Let the anointing make noise. Because you were not born to be background. You were born to bring breakthrough. So again, comment it below, "I'm not sorry." Say it so heaven hears it. Say it so hell fears it. Say it so your own spirit believes it again. You are the disruption darkness didn't see coming. Not every attack was an accident. Not every storm was random. There are some battles you went through, not because you were weak, but because you were chosen. You didn't suffer because you were disobedient. You suffered because you carry something. The enemy wants silenced. The pressure wasn't proof of God's absence. It was evidence of your assignment. Chosen one. You must understand this. Attacks are not always punishment. Sometimes they are permission granted by heaven for the enemy to test you, not to destroy you, but to prove you, just like Job, just like Jesus in the wilderness, just like you. And that last battle you survived, It wasn't just another struggle. It was a spiritual announcement. Hell recognized the oil that was increasing on your life. The shaking that came wasn't sent to end you. It was designed to expose just how deeply rooted you truly are. The enemy thought, if he could hit your health, your mind, your emotions, your relationships, you'd break. But you didn't. You wept. Yes. You bent. Yes. But you did not bow, because something in you refused to die. You may not have seen it yet, but your endurance was loud in the spirit realm. Every time you worshipped through the pain, hell lost ground. Every time you kept praying while being attacked, chains broke around your bloodline. Every time you chose to keep walking instead of giving up, angels were released to war on your behalf. That's what made the enemy furious. That's royalty-level loyalty. That's chosen one resilience. And it didn't go unnoticed. Heaven saw what you endured in secret. The silent battles, the unspoken grief, the spiritual attacks no one believed, the loneliness that wrapped itself around your soul like a fog. But even there, you didn't curse God. You didn't run back to Egypt. You stayed. You endured. You waited. And now heaven is shifting the season. This is not just about reward. It's about recognition. God is about to make a spectacle out of what you survived. Those who questioned your pain will witness your glory. Those who assumed your struggle was punishment will watch as God elevates you publicly, not because of pride, but because your process deserves honor. Some of your greatest warfare was never personal, it was generational. You were breaking things that tormented your family for decades. Patterns of addiction, cycles of poverty, spirits of fear, altars of shame. And they came after you because you were the first one to say, enough. And you were the interruption, the line breaker, the rebuilder of ancient ruins. And yes, it cost you. Yes, it almost broke you, but it didn't. And now the realm of darkness knows your name. The same way demons trembled at the name of Paul. They tremble when they hear yours. Not because of who you are, but because of what you carry. This is what the enemy feared, your survival. Because if you survived, that there's no stopping what's next. Chosen one. You are dangerous to darkness now. You're not the same version of yourself you were when the attacks first came. You're wiser now, more discerning, less emotional, more strategic. And your praise, it's deeper, it's costlier, it's soaked in scars, and that makes it powerful. You're not coming out of this the same. You're coming out refined, sharper, stronger, unshakable. You've walked through fire, but the flames didn't win. The smell of smoke may linger on your testimony, but the chains have been burned away. The trauma lost its grip. The bitterness broke. The lie lost its voice. And now, your scars are becoming scrolls, evidence that God keeps His word, as written in the second letter to the Corinthians. Chapter 4, verse 8 and 9. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Love, you've lived those verses. You've embodied them. And now you will carry them into rooms that need proof of hope. You are the testimony. You are the proof. You are the miracle that others will point to when they need strength. That's why the battle was so intense. Because your story will heal others. Your scars will teach. Your survival will awaken those who have accepted bondage as normal. And now that the worst is behind you, you must begin to see yourself clearly, not as broken, not as damaged, not as forgotten, but as refined, prepared, chosen. The battle was never meant to define you. It was meant to confirm you. You've been approved in fire. You've been promoted through pain. You've been positioned by pressure. And now, you're ready. Time is not moving casually anymore. The hourglass has shifted. What you feel stirring inside of you is not just emotion, it's divine urgency. Something holy is pulling you forward. Even when your flesh wants to stay still, this is the season where heaven will no longer allow delay. Chosen one. The time is not coming, it has come. This Thursday is not a possibility, it is a prophecy being fulfilled. A gate is opening, and you are being summoned through it. Not with fear, not with confusion, but with clarity, power, and boldness. You can feel it, can't you? There's a sound in the spirit that matches the ache in your chest, a pressure building behind your eyes, a fire rising in your belly, and a still, quiet whisper that keeps saying, now, step now. LinkedIn. This is not emotional hype. This is not empty motivation. This is a spiritual command. And those who have ears to hear it now. You're not just close to breakthrough. You are inside, the moment where everything begins to turn. There is a divine rhythm, and you are finally walking in step with it. There will be distractions. There will be resistance. The enemy will try to flood you with doubt right before the delivery, but you must press through. Because what happens this week isn't just about you. It's about everyone your obedience will impact. You don't need all the answers. You just need agreement. You don't need certainty. You just need surrender. This is not the time to pull back. This is not the time to second guess. This is the time to lean in. Plant your feet and walk boldly into the shift heaven has declared. God didn't bring you this far to leave you confused. He didn't preserve you through childhood trauma, heartbreak, financial loss, betrayal, and depression just to abandon you at the door of purpose. You're not here by mistake. You're not watching this by coincidence. The fact that your spirit is still engaged right now, after all the warfare, all the disappointment, all the seasons of silence, is proof that you are still chosen. The Word of God declares in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, there is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. And this is that time. Chosen one. Here's what I need you to do. Slow down and truly listen. If this word is striking your spirit, don't let it pass. Don't let this moment dissolve like another scroll on your screen. There are moments in life when you must pause and align yourself fully with what heaven is saying. And if this message is confirming what you already know deep down, that you were made for more, that you are being called higher, that your life carries a spiritual assignment, then don't just receive it. Respond to it. Here's how you can respond, like this message. Not for vanity, but because engagement helps it reach others who need it just like you did. Share it with someone who's been walking through the fire silently. Let this be the confirmation they've been praying for. Subscribe if you haven't already. This isn't a one-time moment. This is a divine journey. And there are more prophetic words waiting to meet you right where you are. Stay connected to the anointing flowing through this voice. Because this isn't just content, it's a calling. This is not for spectators. This is for those who have been wrestling in the dark and are now ready to rise in the light. If Thursday truly is the gate God has assigned for your transition, then walk into it, armed with every tool heaven has placed in your hands. Walk into it with your mind made up. Walk into it with your heart wide open. Walk into it with worship as your war cry, because this is what you were born for. You don't need to convince anyone else. You don't need to justify your path. You don't need applause. Heaven already said yes. You were born to disrupt cycles. You were born to deliver freedom. You were born to rebuild what was torn down. You are the one your bloodline cried out for. The one the enemy hoped would never wake up. The one chosen to break through what others gave into. The calendar may say, just another Thursday. But the spirit realm says otherwise. This is heaven's appointment with your awakening. So take a deep breath. Set your eyes like flint. Refuse to look back. And let this word become flesh in your life. Heaven is watching. Hell is trembling. And earth is waiting to see what happens when a chosen one says, yes, Lord. Hiddenness has a weight of its own. Being unseen. Overlooked. Forgotten not by God, but by people can make even the strongest soul question their value. You've walked through that valley. You've stood on the edge of that lie. But chosen one, heaven wants you to hear this loud and clear. You have never been forgotten. God has not misplaced you. He has not overlooked you. He has intentionally hidden you. Yes, intentionally. The same way Moses was hidden in the reeds. The same way David was left in the field. The same way Esther was kept in silence until the moment of release. Hiddenness isn't punishment, it's protection. You were hidden because the weight of your calling was too holy to be touched prematurely. God shielded you from wrong platforms, wrong connections, wrong exposure. He refused to let your anointing be used for entertainment. He refused to let your oil be poured where it would not be honored. You may have seen others promoted before you. You may have watched people with lesser depth rise faster, be celebrated louder, be invited farther, but that didn't mean God forgot you. It meant He was reserving you, because not all favor is from heaven, and not all visibility is safe. You weren't called to popularity. You were called to purpose. And purpose requires patience. You didn't miss the moment. You were being made for the moment. Some of your deepest disappointments were actually divine delays. God delayed certain doors to develop your discernment. He postponed your platform so you'd learn how to steward private integrity. He slowed your journey so that when the moment came you'd last. Because premature exposure kills immature anointing, and God refuses to let your destiny die from rushed recognition, so He hid you in plain sight. Sometimes you've been faithful, consistent, pure-hearted, and yet invisible. But that invisibility has protected you from traps you didn't even see. Had certain people discovered your gift too early, they would have exploited it. Had certain rooms invited you in too soon, they would have used you and discarded you. Had certain partnerships been approved, they would have corrupted the purity of your purpose. Chosen one. Hiddenness was mercy. And now, the hiding is ending. There's a shift coming this Thursday that will begin to uncover what God has been preparing in you for years. Not days. Years. You thought you were behind. But heaven says, you are right on time. No, the unveiling won't be loud. It won't be flashy. But it will be unmistakable. people will begin to notice something different. Your presence will carry more weight. Your words will begin to pierce deeper. Your prayers will shift atmospheres you once only observed. Your obedience will unlock things for others that were once locked in your own life. Not because you're better, but because you're finally ready. The hiddenness forged a foundation in you that fame could never build. The silence taught you how to hear God's voice before you ever had a platform to speak. The invisibility prepared you for impact without needing an audience for approval. And now, as this divine week unfolds, heaven is whispering to your spirit, it's time, not for striving, not for proving, but for releasing. It's time to be who God called you to be before anyone knew your name. It's time to stop hiding behind humility and start walking in authority. It's time to let the oil flow because the world needs what you carry. The scripture declares in the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 2, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." End quote. This is not just your moment of activation, it's your moment of revelation. God is about to reveal you, not the version people guessed at, not the image you tried to maintain, but the real you, the warrior, the intercessor, the reformer, the prophet, the rebuilder, the carrier of light and glory, chosen one. Your name is known in heaven, and soon your obedience will echo on earth. If this word confirms what your spirit already knows, comment 555 below. Not as a gimmick, but as a prophetic agreement that you are stepping out of hiding and into holy purpose. Let the enemy see your boldness. Let heaven mark your surrender. Let your own soul remember, I was never forgotten. I was just being formed. This Thursday, the revealing begins. The enemy doesn't need a calendar to sense divine timing. He doesn't need a prophet to tell him when heaven is about to move. Darkness can feel it in the atmosphere. It trembles when purpose draws near. And that's exactly what's been happening in your life. The sudden pressure, the irrational anxiety, the strange delays, the spiritual fog. It's not just emotional, it's tactical. The enemy knows something is coming, and he's hoping you'll abort it before it arrives. You've probably asked yourself recently, why now? Why did old patterns suddenly come back? Why did discouragement hit out of nowhere? Why did you feel more tired, more disconnected, more tempted to give up right at the brink of something new? Because the enemy can smell breakthrough the way lions smell blood in the wind. He knows your spirit is close to something that will cost him territory. And his only strategy now is interference. He cannot stop what God has ordained, but he can try to convince you to step away from it. That's why the distractions increased. That's why your vision got cloudy. That's why the small things started feeling overwhelming. Because when the real battle is spiritual, the natural begins to warp. Your thoughts become heavier. Your pace feels slower. The flame inside you feels buried under fog. And everything in you wants to say, maybe this isn't my time after all. But that's the lie. That's the final trap. And if you fall for it, the enemy doesn't have to block your breakthrough. You'll forfeit it yourself. Don't do it. Don't hand over what you've waited years to receive. Don't abandon what God has finally prepared. Don't shrink back just because the air feels heavy. Chosen one. This resistance is proof that you're near the gate. You're not being punished. You're being pushed into clarity, into strength, into dependence on God like never before. When you're this close to promise, the pressure always peaks. Think of Jesus in the garden, right before redemption. He sweat blood, not because of failure, because of intensity, because the weight of what was coming pressed down on his flesh, and he had to make the decision: will I continue? Will I finish what I started? And so must you. You don't need strength in advance. You just need surrender in this moment. God never asked you to carry the whole journey just to say yes to the next step. The enemy wants you to feel exhausted because he knows the next step is small in the natural but seismic in the spirit. You've already endured so much. You've walked through fire. You've stood in silence. You've prayed when nothing changed. You've obeyed when there was no applause. You've fasted, warred, surrendered it, trusted. You've already paid the price. So don't stop now. Don't turn around now. Don't doubt what's already in motion. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean heaven has gone quiet. The greatest shifts often begin in invisible places. Seeds sprout in silence. Babies grow in the dark. Revivals are born in prayer closets. God has never been inactive. He's just been strategic. Every delay, every detour, every moment you thought was lost has been aligned under a greater timing. And now, the resistance you're facing is the enemy's last attempt to shake you before the shift hits. So plant your feet, anchor your thoughts, silence the noise, lean into the whisper of God again. He's saying, I haven't forgotten. I haven't changed my mind. I haven't left. You're still the one. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. No, that word is your anchor in this moment. No weapon formed in anxiety, formed in fear, formed in temptation, formed in fatigue, shall prosper, not because of your strength, but because of your heritage. You were chosen for this. And yes, the warfare confirms it. The intensity proves it. You don't war this hard unless heaven is about to release something heavy. So take courage. Chosen one, you're not under attack because you're off course. You're under attack because you're on the edge of the promise. The enemy's panic is your prophecy. The pressure is your signal. The spiritual turbulence is proof you're mid-transition. Don't retreat now. You were made for this. There are moments in every chosen one's journey when the silence becomes deafening. You've walked through them, the seasons where heaven feels still. Prayers seem unanswered, and everything inside of you begins to wonder, has God stopped speaking? Has he pulled away? But listen carefully. Silence is not absence. God is not gone. He is working beneath the surface in ways you can't yet perceive. Just because he hasn't spoken a new word doesn't mean the last one expired. He doesn't speak to fill silence, he speaks to fulfill purpose. And sometimes, the loudest move of God is the one you cannot hear yet. Chosen one, you're not in a void. You're in a sacred pause. A pause where heaven watches how you will respond without the comfort of constant confirmation. Will you keep walking when no one applauds you? Will you keep praying when nothing shifts? Will you keep trusting when your soul feels dry? This is the furnace of faith. It burns off what is shallow. It burns away the need for signs. It tests your heart for obedience, not applause. You've passed through this kind of fire, and whether you know it or not, it's made you steady, stronger. You've learned how to move when God is loud. And now You're learning how to stand when he's quiet. Stillness is never wasted. In stillness, you develop ears that don't chase volume, they chase truth. You've discovered that intimacy with God isn't built in crowds, or in conferences, or in emotion. It's built in the quiet where your heart still whispers, "I trust you," even when your flesh wants answers. This is maturity. And maturity doesn't always come with celebration. Sometimes it comes with surrender, with unanswered questions, with long nights of wrestling. But from those places, deep roots grow. The enemy tried to convince you that the silence was God's rejection, but that's a lie. Rejection would have meant your calling was removed. Rejection would have meant your anointing was lifted. But that didn't happen. You still feel the weight. You still feel the tug in your spirit. You still feel the pull toward deeper things. What you've experienced is not rejection, it's recalibration. God has been shifting the foundation beneath you, not to collapse you, but to correct your alignment so the next level can be sustained. He's been teaching you to walk by faith, not emotional stimulus. He's been training your discernment to move beyond feelings. He's been anchoring your identity so that it cannot be shaken by silence. Because what's coming will require unshakable obedience. Not excitement, not hype, just pure faith. This is why the quiet came. You didn't lose your way, you outgrew the noise. Heaven knew what was coming, knew what would try to distract you, knew what would try to pull you off course. And so God stripped it all back, not to starve you, but to sharpen you. Now, you hear his whisper more clearly than ever before. Now, you move not because you feel ready, but because he says move. Now, you don't need confirmation every day, you just need the last word he gave you. This is how warriors are trained, not in noise, but in quiet obedience, not in fireworks, but in faithfulness, as spoken in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. Olo, that voice, that still small voice is leading you now. You may not be surrounded by applause. You may not be flooded with signs. But deep inside, you know this. God is near. His silence is sacred. His stillness is strategy. In the quiet, your spirit is being trained to recognize the move of God, not by sound, but by presence. You are being matured to carry his word with reverence, not reaction. The silence has not been a punishment, it has been preparation. You are learning to trust the unseen, obey the unspoken, and walk, even when the map is unclear. This is spiritual maturity, and it is rare. Heaven is entrusting it to you. Let this truth settle in you. He's still with you. The silence is proof that he trusts you to move without needing to be carried. It means you've graduated. You are no longer a child in the spirit. You are becoming a soldier, a steward, a voice that will not be shaken by the seasons, by applause, or by delay. And soon, very soon, the stillness will break, and you'll realize that everything you've learned in silence was preparing you for what he's about to say next. This is your burning bush moment, a holy interruption in the middle of what seemed like an ordinary day. You weren't looking for it. You didn't plan for it, but the Spirit of God has stepped into your path and is calling your name, not your public name, not the version people know, but the true you, the one hidden behind performance, silence, and weariness. Chosen one, take off your sandals. You're standing on holy ground. You've felt the fire building, haven't you? A strange pressure in your spirit, a burning behind your words, an agitation in your soul that refuses to let you settle where you used to find peace. That's not restlessness, that's revelation, the kind that demands response. Because there are moments in life when you are not invited, you are summoned. And this is one of them. The voice of the Lord is calling you out of everything comfortable, into everything consecrated, out of routine, out of numbness, out of compromise. You can't go back to pretending you don't see what you see. You can't act like the world around you doesn't need what you carry. You can't minimize the fire just because others are afraid to burn. You're not like them. You never were. That's why you felt so out of place. That's why people you loved couldn't go with you. That's why you've had to grieve things that didn't die, but outlived their purpose. It's not because you're being punished, it's because you're being called. Comment, I hear you. 3 words. 1 declaration. Let heaven see it. Let the enemy hear it. Let your soul remember it. This isn't emotionalism. This is surrender. When Moses heard the voice of God, he didn't ask for signs or fame. He simply said, "Here I am." Not fully prepared, not fully confident, but fully present. You don't need a perfect plan to obey. You just need an honest yes. End of chosen one. The fire doesn't fall on potential. It falls on sacrifice. And heaven is watching to see if you will lay down what's familiar for what's holy. The truth is, God isn't calling the version of you that everyone likes. He's calling the real you, the wounded one, the weary one, the one who's been hiding, watching, waiting for confirmation that it's time to step forward. This is it. This is the confirmation. You don't need to be famous to be faithful. You don't need to be loud to be anointed. You just need to say yes. And when you do, things will begin to shift. You won't feel it all at once, but something in the spirit will break open. The fog will begin to lift. The weight will begin to lift. The patterns will begin to change, because your obedience becomes a weapon. It is written in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 2. The angel of the Lord appeared in flames of fire from within a bush. Though it burned, the bush was not consumed. The fire didn't come to destroy it, came to reveal, to show Moses who he really was, to awaken him from numbness, to break the illusion of being just a man with a past. Because Moses wasn't a fugitive. He wasn't a failure. He wasn't forgotten. He was called. So are you. Let the fire of this moment consume every lie you've believed. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are not too broken. You are not overlooked. You are exactly who God wants. And you are standing at the edge of a divine assignment that will require you to walk into unknown territory with nothing but obedience and fire. But hear this, you are not going alone. What God ignites, He sustains. What He starts, He finishes. The bush that burns does not consume itself, because the fire is not from within, it's from above. And that same fire is now on you. Don't put it out. Don't run from it. Let it burn away every excuse, every delay, every false identity. Let it awaken the original design heaven wrote into your bones. You've lingered long enough. You've wandered long enough. You've questioned long enough. It's time to answer. Let these be the 3 words that shift everything. Comment, "I hear you," not just with your fingers, but with your spirit. Let it be a signature on the altar of obedience. Let it be a declaration that this moment is not passing by unnoticed, because this is your burning bush. And once you see the fire, once you know you've heard his voice, there's no going back, only forward. There are moments in your journey where the atmosphere itself begins to shift, where the wind feels different, where the air feels charged. And even though your physical life may seem unchanged, your spirit knows something has turned. Chosen one, you are in such a moment now. This week, this Thursday, is not just another date. It's not another block on your calendar. It is a divine marker, a heaven-scheduled shift that has your name written into it. And whether you feel ready or not, the time has come to move into it. You've been waiting for a sign. This is it. You've been praying for confirmation. This is it. You've been asking if the delay was forever. It was never forever. It was just until now. There is a spiritual line being drawn, and heaven is inviting you to step across it, not timidly, but boldly, with authority, with intention, with full awareness that you are not who you used to be. You are not bound by the fear that once gripped you. You are not defined by the pain that once shaped you. You are standing on the edge of your next assignment. And this isn't something you casually stroll into. This is something you announce. Declare it with your posture, with your obedience, with your faith, and yes, with your public alignment. If this word has been resonating with you not just emotionally, but spiritually, then now is the moment to respond. Like this message, if it has pierced your heart, let it be a witness to the word that was deposited in you. Share it with someone who is standing at the same edge. You are someone who just needs that last push of clarity to know it's time to rise. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is not a one-time encounter. This is a divine journey, and we are walking it out together, step by step, word by word, fire by fire. God is not finished speaking, and neither are you. He's preparing you to carry a word that breaks chains, a sound that heals, a presence that disturbs darkness, an authority that releases captives. But that kind of assignment requires a deep, internal agreement, not with hype, but with heaven. You must agree with what God says about you, even when your history argues against it. You must agree with His timing, even when your logic says it's too soon. You must agree with His voice, even when it calls you away from what's safe. The activation of your next level will not be birthed from convenience. It will be birthed from alignment. This Thursday will not be the result of chance. It will be the result of decision. And that decision is yours. Will you step? Will you rise? Will you release the version of yourself that was only surviving so the one who was born to reign can emerge? You are not being invited into comfort. You are being called into consequence, eternal consequence. Because when a chosen one steps into alignment, entire regions shift. This is not about your feelings. This is about your assignment. God isn't asking for your perfection. He's asking for your participation. Will you go where He sends you? Will you say what He tells you to say? Will you leave what He tells you to leave behind? Because this Thursday is not about emotion, it's about execution. Heaven has waited long enough, and now, as the weight of this moment settles, let your spirit remember this. Alignment opens gates that striving never could. You've tried to force open doors. You've begged people to see you. You've exhausted yourself trying to make things happen. But in this season, All you need is obedience, because heaven's favor follows alignment. When Moses obeyed, waters parted. When Elijah obeyed, fire fell. When Esther obeyed, a nation was saved. When you obey, a generation will shift. As written in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 19, creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. That verse is not poetry. It's prophetic reality. Creation is groaning, waiting, watching. For you, not just the believer, not just the dreamer, but the revealed child of God, the one who knows who they are and moves in it. You have lingered long enough in the hallway of hesitation. The door is open now. The moment is here. And all of creation is watching to see what happens when you step into it. So if this word has found you, feed your spirit. Respond. Act. Declare. Connect. Like. Share. Subscribe. Not to promote a person, but to partner with a prophetic flow that has been sent directly to your timeline, into your atmosphere, and into your spirit. God is moving. And now, it's your turn. Let the world witness what happens when a chosen one says, "Yes, I'm ready." And there's something different about the way you've been walking lately, even if you haven't fully noticed it. Others can feel it. Your silence carries more weight. Your presence demands more attention. And your spirit is starting to radiate with something you can't quite describe, but you know it didn't come from you. It's authority. Spiritual authority, not the kind that comes from titles or platforms. Not the kind that needs a spotlight, but the kind that flows from submission, surrender, and long obedience in the same direction. The kind that comes from walking through fire and not smelling like smoke, from staying faithful when you had every reason to quit, from remaining planted when everything around you tried to uproot you. You've earned this weight, not by striving, but by enduring. You carry a mantle now, and a mantle isn't decoration. It's not ornamental. It's functional. You've been clothed in something that's invisible to the eye but undeniable in the spirit. Demons recognize it. Atmospheres respond to it. People around you sense it. Even if they don't have language for what they're feeling, there's something different on you, because you carry the kingdom. Chosen one. The authority you're moving in now isn't about shouting louder. It's about walking clearer. It's not about dominating people. It's about dominating darkness. You've been given access to operate in spiritual places that once resisted you, not because you've arrived, but because you're aligned. And alignment always produces authority. This is why the warfare increased in recent seasons. It wasn't random. The moment you began to step into obedience at a deeper level, the enemy had to resist you. Not because he feared your voice, he feared your authority behind the voice. Authority makes your words pierce where flattery falls flat. Authority shifts rooms without saying a word. Authority walks into a space and announces, "The kingdom of heaven is near," without needing a microphone. You don't have to try so hard anymore. You don't have to prove yourself. What you carry now will begin to speak for itself. But with authority comes weight. This mantle isn't just about what you can do. It's about what you must carry. And the weight of what you carry is holy. You're not like everyone else, and you're not meant to be. God has entrusted you with kingdom responsibility. You are a representative of His rule and reign on the earth. You are an ambassador of His justice, His power, His purity, and His mercy. You are not here to simply survive culture, you are here to govern spiritually in it. This requires discipline. You can't say what everyone says. You can't entertain what everyone entertains. You can't move with every new wind of emotion, because the mantle is sensitive, the anointing is weighty, and you've been called to steward it well. Do not despise the restrictions that have come upon your life. They are not limitations, they are permissions. God is saying, because you carry more, I must protect you more. Or, you're being guarded by heaven, because what's on you is not just for you. You are now walking in a place where others will draw strength from your presence, where people's deliverance will be triggered by your obedience, where entire atmospheres will shift, not because you shouted, but because you walked in surrendered silence. And make no mistake, this mantle didn't come cheap. It was forged in the dark, paid for in isolation, tested in your weakest moments, approved when no one else clapped. You didn't chase this mantle. It found you, because God knew He could trust you with it. As written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. And that's not metaphor. That's reality. That's the spiritual jurisdiction you've been given. You've been authorized. And that means you don't have to ask permission to advance. You already have it. The doors will open because the King has already issued the decree. Now, walk in it. Walk like you know who sent you. Walk like you've been commissioned from the throne room itself. You don't have time to doubt anymore. You don't have the luxury of insecurity. The mantle is heavy, but so is the power behind it. And heaven is watching to see if you'll carry it with humility, with purity, and with courage, because what you're stepping into next won't require you to be louder. It will require you to be anchored. The weight is real, but so is the authority. And you were made for this. There's a breaking that comes before birthing. You've felt it, the tearing, the discomfort, the groaning in your spirit that can't be explained. At first, you thought it was an attack. You tried to rebuke it, run from it, fix it. But what you didn't realize is that you've been in labor, spiritual labor. What's happening inside you right now isn't the death of something, it's the delivery of something. God has placed something holy inside of you, and it is now pressing to come forth. A calling, a word, a movement, a mantle. You've been carrying it quietly, but now the pressure is making it impossible to ignore. This isn't emotional heaviness, this is spiritual transition. Chosen one. Don't panic in the pain. Don't flee the pressure. You are not being crushed, you are being pushed. Every contraction in your life has been timed by heaven. Every shaking, every disappointment, every closed door was a contraction, pressing what's inside of you closer to the surface. This is why the breaking has felt so deep. This is why you haven't been able to settle. Because birthing doesn't feel like glory, it feels like surrender. When a woman gives birth, she doesn't just deliver the child, she must first survive the breaking, the opening, the stretch. The pain that signals something new is about to emerge. It's messy, it's loud, it's not glamorous, but it's necessary. And so it is with your purpose. You are not being undone, you are being opened. Heaven is stretching you to make room for what cannot be held in the version of you that played small. The breaking you're experiencing is heaven saying, make room. It's coming. But here's what many don't understand. Not every breaking leads to birthing. Some people give up mid-labor. They mislabel the pressure as punishment. They settle for numbness. They try to go back to comfort. But chosen ones, those like you, they push. Because even in the pain, they recognize the moment. Even in the shaking, they hear the whisper of God. Don't stop now. End of. This Thursday marks the end of your gestation and the beginning of your manifestation. What's been hidden is being exposed. What's been forming in silence is being shouted into the open. You are about to deliver what your life was always meant to release, but it's going to require everything in you to stay in position. This is not the time to numb yourself. This is not the time to retreat. This is not the time to mislabel the moment. You are not dying. You are delivering. And your breakthrough is not just for you. What's about to come forth from your life will break chains for others. It will awaken the dormant. It will heal the broken. It will stir the sleeping. That's why the warfare has been so intense. It's never been about you. It's about what's inside you. It is written in the book of John, chapter 16, verse 21. A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. Ilama. This pain has an expiration date. The suffering will soon turn into shouting. The groaning will give way to glory. And what felt like it was going to break you will become the very thing that crowns you. You will not miscarry this move of God. You will not abort this assignment. You will not sleep through this delivery. You've waited too long. You've walked through too much. You've been faithful in too many hidden places to stop now. But there is something you must do in this moment. Agree with the process. Agree that God knows what He's doing. Agree that the pain has a purpose. Agree that the stretch is holy. Your yes has never mattered more than it does now. Don't just think it. Don't just feel it. Let it be visible in the spirit. Comment 777 below if your spirit says, I'm ready to deliver what God put inside of me. Light. Not as a ritual, but as a prophetic agreement with the labor you've been feeling. Let it mark this moment. Let it be your way of saying, God, I see the pain for what it is. I see the purpose. Light, because this is not the end. This is the crowning, and on the other side of this labor is life. There is a weight to divine timing that can't be ignored. When God begins to move, it doesn't always look dramatic. It often begins as a whisper, a nudge, a strange alignment of events that pull your attention in a new direction. But once heaven opens a door, what was delayed for years can unfold in days. You are standing in one of those moments now. The shift has begun, and for many, it will feel like things are accelerating. Suddenly, what was blocked is now accessible. Suddenly, the burden you carried feels lighter. Suddenly, connections are forming. Clarity is coming, and the fog is beginning to lift. But with divine acceleration comes a sobering truth. Divine timing is sacred, and it won't wait forever. You've heard the call. You've seen the signs. You received confirmation after confirmation. And now the Spirit is saying clearly, move while the oil is flowing. Because delay isn't always safe. There's a moment when grace to wait becomes disobedience to act. A moment when the season of preparation transitions into the season of movement. And if you don't move with God in that window, the weight of waiting can shift from preparation to procrastination. Chosen one. This is your warning and your invitation. You've waited well. You've stewarded the hidden season. You've endured the pruning, the silence, the refining. But now, the season has changed. You are no longer in a holding pattern. You are in a releasing season, and that requires different posture. You must be ready to move, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with holy urgency. The Spirit of God is saying, what you delay in obedience, you risk in destiny. Oh, not because God is cruel, but because windows are real. And what He is doing now isn't just about you, it's about who is waiting on the other side of your yes. There are people whose freedom is tied to your obedience. There are cities that will only shift when you step into your calling. There are generational patterns that will remain in place unless you rise into your assignment. That is the sobering part of being chosen. Your life is not your own. Your yes echoes in eternity. So don't delay. Don't rationalize the moment away. Don't let analysis talk you out of obedience. You don't need more signs, you need surrender. Because even now, as you read this, you can feel it in your spirit. The time is now. The cloud is moving. The oil is pouring. The door is open. And it may not stay open forever. Think of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. All of them knew the bridegroom was coming, but only 5 brought enough oil to be ready. The others delayed. They waited too long. They assumed there would be more time. And when the door opened, they weren't prepared. They missed it. Not because they were evil, but because they were late. That parable isn't just about preparedness, it's about urgency. A holy urgency that says, I won't assume tomorrow will give me what today requires. End of Chosen one. Don't let your window close. Don't allow hesitation to rob you of what heaven is offering right now. You have everything you need to obey. The resources may not all be visible. The path may not be fully clear. But when God says move, obedience is your provision. It is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 7. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. Not tomorrow, not next season. Today, because something sacred happens when you respond in real time. Heaven aligns. Favor finds you. Grace surrounds you. And the way begins to open in front of your feet. But if you delay too long, the moment begins to pass. Not because God is angry, but because you weren't made to sit forever. You were made to move. You were made to build. You were made to release what He has deposited inside of you. The shaking you feel isn't judgment, it's a wake-up call. The stirring isn't fear, it's invitation. God is saying, what I told you then still stands now. But the moment is moving. Will you move with me? Let your answer be your action. Let your decision be evident in your steps. Let your faith become flesh in how you respond to this sacred timing, because what you're standing in now is not just a shift. It's a window, and it will not stay open forever. Obedience will cost you. This is the truth most people avoid. The songs, the sermons, the captions often focus on blessing, breakthrough, and favor, but rarely on the price. Yet every true chosen one must come face to face with this. Your yes will cost you something. It already has. The late nights of wrestling with decisions, the strained relationships with people who don't understand your shift, the doors that closed, not because you weren't good enough, but because you refused to compromise, the tears cried in silence after choosing obedience over comfort, And still, there's more. Because, as you go deeper into the calling on your life, the more costly the assignments become. You begin to feel the weight of what you carry. You recognize that not all roads are available to you. You feel the narrowing of the path. The call becomes louder, but so does the cost. Obedience may cost you approval. It may cost you friends who can't walk with your fire. It may cost you platforms that require silence when you're called to speak. It may cost you comfort, stability, certainty, everything the world praises and promises. But obedience will never cost you more than disobedience. The cost of ignoring God's voice is always greater than the cost of obeying it. Because every delayed yes drags purpose further from its appointed time. Every resistance to the call makes the heart harder. Every compromise chips away at your clarity. And before long, a chosen one who was once sharp surrendered it, and fully alive becomes passive, bitter, or numb. You've felt the edge of that before, haven't you? That moment where you hesitated too long, where you let fear silence your fire, where you tried to negotiate obedience instead of embracing it fully. That ache you felt afterwards, that wasn't guilt. That was a warning, a holy ache reminding you, you were made for more than this. Chosen one. What's ahead of you now will require fresh surrender. You're stepping into deeper waters. The assignments are heavier. The warfare is more subtle. And the distractions are dressed up as opportunities. You'll be tempted to reach for influence instead of impact, to build something flashy instead of something eternal, to choose what is applauded instead of what is anointed. But if you're truly called, if you're truly marked, you'll know when your spirit starts to ache in misalignment. You'll feel it when your yes starts sounding like compromise. You'll sense it when the applause of men begins to drown out the whisper of God. And in those moments, you'll have to choose again. Obedience is not a one-time act. It's a lifestyle, a daily offering, a continual surrender. And sometimes, it's painful. Jesus himself was obedient unto death, not just physical death, but the death of comfort, reputation, even momentary relief. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he sweated blood because obedience pressed his flesh to the breaking point. And yet, he still said, "Not my will, but yours be done." That's not casual Christianity. That's costly calling. So ask yourself now, what part of your obedience has a price tag you're still unwilling to pay? Is it the relationship God already told you to release? Is it the dream you built without Him? Is it the fear of being misunderstood? Is it the image you've curated that would crumble if you told the truth? God doesn't demand these things to punish you. He calls them out because they're in the way. You can't carry dead weight and walk in resurrection power at the same time. If you truly want what God is offering, something has to go. You don't need more confirmation. You need more conviction. You don't need another prophetic word. You need the courage to obey the ones you've already received. As it is written in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. And God isn't impressed by outward displays if inward obedience is absent. He wants your surrender more than your performance, your trust more than your talent, your yielded heart more than your perfect image. So count the cost, and then say yes again. Yes to the narrow road. Yes to the hidden place. Yes to the assignment that will stretch you. Yes to the silence that will shape you. Yes to the purpose that will sanctify you. Obedience will cost you everything your flesh wants to keep, but it will give you everything your spirit was born to carry. This is the weight of being chosen, and you were made for it. You didn't survive by accident. You didn't keep breathing through nights of suffocating pain just by chance. You didn't wake up still standing after that betrayal, that collapse, that season of silence, just because time healed you. No, chosen one, you survived because heaven still has work to do through you. You are here because God refused to let you be buried beneath what was meant to kill you. And the reason you feel a holy unrest right now, the reason your spirit is stirred, even as your flesh feels tired, is because the Spirit of God is declaring over your life. You were born for this hour, not the future, not someday. Now, this Thursday isn't just another turning of the calendar. It's not a motivational checkpoint. It's a divine summons, a holy collision between your survival and your assignment. And if you've made it this far, still carrying faith, still carrying fire, still holding on to the voice of God, then you need to understand that your survival was the prophecy. The pain was permission. The warfare was confirmation. And the fact that you're still standing, that's the proof that your destiny hasn't been cancelled. It's been preserved. You are not just another believer going through motions. You are a marked one, a remnant, a voice for your generation, an answer to prayers prayed by ancestors you never met. The deliverance you've walked through wasn't just for your own freedom, it was training for the chains you're called to break in others. But let this be clear, resistance is not defeat. In fact, resistance is often the proof that the gate is opening. Hell has watched you closely. It's tracked your pain, studied your patterns, and tried everything it could to keep you asleep. But you've awakened, and now, heaven is assigning a new mantle to your name. You won't look the same after this. You won't sound the same. You won't walk the same. You won't even pray the same. Because when you truly realize what you carry, the way you carry yourself shifts. This is your hour. No more delay. No more rehearsing who you used to be. No more shrinking into false humility or hiding behind fear. It's time to rise into the fullness of who God called you to be. And if this message has struck something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this word to keep it moving. Let it be a declaration to the atmosphere that you are in agreement. Share it with someone you know has been wrestling in the dark, waiting on confirmation. Subscribe so you never miss another prophetic message sent straight into your wilderness. You are not meant to walk this alone. This is a journey, and we're taking it together. Comment below. I will obey. Let those 3 words seal your agreement with heaven in this hour. Let it be your altar, your echo, your response to the fire burning in your chest. You are not rising for fame. You are not rising for clout. You are rising for warfare, for harvest, for the kingdom. You were born for this hour, for the chaos, for the deception, for the pressure, for the cries of a broken generation. You were not assigned to the past or misplaced in the future. You were sent to live now because God knew that what you carry is perfectly matched to this moment. Others may retreat. Others might go quiet. But you must rise. The trumpet has sounded in the spirit. The time of waiting has ended. The time of activation is now. It is written in the book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 14. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? That's not just history. That's your reality. You've been brought to this moment this exact stretch of history for a reason. Your voice, your obedience, your prayers, your presence, they all matter more now than ever before. Heaven didn't preserve you to waste you. God didn't heal you just to leave you hidden. There is a sound inside you that is meant to be released. There is a light inside you that is meant to shine in places others have long abandoned. There is a fire in your bones that has been waiting, burning for a moment like this. Let the fear go. Let the hesitation fall. Let the what-ifs die. You've already been equipped. You've already been anointed. You've already been tested. All that's left now is your response. So rise. Chosen one. Rise into the call. Rise into the cost. Rise into the mantle. Rise into the moment that has waited for you. Because this is the hour you were born for. Like, share, comment. I will obey. Oh, and if you haven't yet subscribed, the next word may be the one that breaks open the rest. You've survived the crushing, now prepare for the crowning. This is the part of the story the enemy hoped you'd never reach. The part where everything he threw at you not only failed to destroy you, but actually refined you. The part where the pain becomes power, the ashes become oil, the breaking becomes birthing, the wilderness becomes your witness. This isn't the moment you get back to normal. This is the moment you step into the supernatural, because the glory that's coming isn't returning you to the version of you that existed before the fire. That version couldn't carry what you're carrying now. That version wasn't strong enough to lead, bold enough to confront, pure enough to carry oil, or steady enough to last. You are not going back. You are going forward, crowned, chosen one. You've walked through more than people know. You've bled silently while smiling in public. You've stood when everything inside you said, sit down. You've remained faithful when you had every excuse to walk away. And now heaven is about to honor what man couldn't see. This is the season where God rewards the secret place. The place where you cried until your spirit emptied. The place where you warred through sleepless nights. The place where you obeyed when no one else was watching. And now the crown is coming not as decoration, but as confirmation. Heaven is not just affirming that you survived. Heaven is testifying that you were refined, trusted, and approved. Your crown is not about royalty as the world defines it. It is about responsibility. It is a spiritual seal, a signal in the realm of darkness that says, this one has endured and now carries weight. The crown is not gold. It's glory. It doesn't shimmer with jewels. It glows with obedience, with character, with fire, and no one can take it from you because no one gave it to you but God. You didn't manipulate your way here. You didn't pretend. You didn't perform. You walked through fire with integrity, and heaven saw every step. The crown is the evidence of your alignment. It rests on the head of those who've walked through the valley and never let go of God's hand. And now, it will begin to show. You'll sense it first, not as pride, but as weight, a deeper stillness in your spirit, a fresh clarity in your voice, a sharper discernment in your atmosphere. People may not be able to articulate it, but they'll know something has shifted. You'll start to speak, and authority will ride on your words. You'll walk into rooms and demons will feel uneasy. You'll pray, and the spirit realm will respond, because crowned ones don't pray as beggars. They pray as ambassadors. This is what you've been waiting for, even when you didn't have language for it. Not fame, not favor, but function. You were made for this kind of spiritual authority. the kind that carries heaven's endorsement. And yes, the enemy will still try to speak. He'll whisper that you're not qualified, that you're not ready, that you're still too broken, too flawed, too human. But the enemy's accusations can't undo what heaven has sealed. It is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11. I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. That's not just a warning, it's a charge. Guard the anointing. Protect the presence. Honor the process that got you here. Because now, the crown isn't just for you. It's for every soul you're about to impact. Every chain you're about to break. Every generational curse you're about to silence. Every room you're about to walk into, carrying the authority of the King. You are not just surviving anymore. You are reigning, but reign with humility. Remember, the oil came from crushing. Remember, the glory came through groaning. Remember, the authority came at a cost. And walk with reverence, because the crowned ones are not celebrities, they are servants. Not those who point to themselves, but those who carry the weight of heaven with trembling and obedience. This Thursday will not mark the end of your struggle, it will mark the start of your stewardship. You have been crowned in secret. And now God is about to let the world see what He's always known. You are His. You are ready. And you are walking into what was always meant to rest on your life. Wear the crown well. There are moments in time when heaven moves, not subtly, but with undeniable force. Moments when the spiritual realm interrupts the natural, when timelines shift, and when destinies begin to unlock at rapid speed. Chosen one, this Thursday will be one of those moments. It will not be loud to the world, but it will be loud in the spirit. You felt it all month, all week, even all year. The build-up, the growing pressure, the unusual awareness that something larger than you is stirring in the background of your life. And now, you've arrived at the tipping point. This isn't random. This isn't emotional. This is divine timing, a scheduled release, a holy ignition, the kind that changes the direction of a life, not gradually, but suddenly, because sometimes God doesn't whisper, sometimes He moves, sometimes He doesn't send signs, He sends a shift. And for you, the shift is now. All the tension you've felt lately, it was never about failure. It was the stretch before release, like the tension of a bowstring before the arrow flies, like the tightening of earth before an eruption, like the labor pains before birth. It always feels unbearable right before it becomes unstoppable. You are not weak, you are wounded, not in anxiety, but in readiness. You are pulled back, not to be broken, but to be launched. What lies ahead will not resemble what's behind you. You're not going back to normal. You're not returning to cycles. You're not repeating seasons. You're stepping out of the pattern and into the purpose. You've crossed the threshold where delay is no longer permitted and stagnation is no longer tolerated. What has been resisted is now being released, and what was hidden is now being revealed. This Thursday is the breaking of a seal in the Spirit. It is the sound of heaven saying, "Go," not cautiously, not halfway, not with conditions, but completely. God is about to open what no man could force, and you will know it, not by the way things look, but by the way your spirit begins to respond. The hunger will deepen, the clarity will sharpen, the oil will begin to flow without striving. What once felt distant will suddenly feel here, not because it arrived, but because you aligned. That's what this whole process has been about. Alignment. Heaven has not been trying to entertain you, it's been trying to align you, to shake loose every old tie, to strip away every idol, to refine every motive, to expose every false comfort. And now, with everything unnecessary removed, what remains is pure, your heart, your faith, your fire, your surrender. That's all God needs. Because when a vessel is emptied of compromise, heaven fills it with fire. And when that fire comes, it doesn't just burn, it builds. It creates. It sends. It empowers. And it destroys the plans of darkness. That's why you've been under attack. Because this version of you is dangerous. You are not afraid to obey. You are not interested in applause. You are not looking for permission. And that kind of obedience is rare. That kind of faith is a threat. That kind of fire cannot be imitated. It must be cultivated. And you, chosen one, have been cultivated through pain, through prayer, through pressure. You've been forged in the furnace. You've been tested in the silence. You've been anchored through every shaking. And now, the moment you were made for is here. No more waiting. No more asking for confirmation. No more checking who approves. Heaven has spoken. You are the called. You are the anointed. You are the one appointed for this exact place in time. And nothing, no weapon, no delay, no fear can stop what God has already declared. It is written in the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 2, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. And this is that purpose. This is that moment. The doors are opening. The way is clearing. The oil is flowing. The fire is falling. And you are the one God is choosing to move through. It won't look like others expected. It won't sound like religion. It won't follow man-made templates. But it will be pure. It will be powerful. It will be God. Thursday will not be stopped. Because when heaven moves, no power in hell can say otherwise. And when a chosen one is in position, obedient, surrendered, fully yielded, everything changes. You've reached the end of one season and the beginning of the one you were born for. Welcome to the fire. Welcome to the front line. Welcome to the fulfillment of every private yes. Thursday is not coming. Thursday is here. You've made it to the end of this word. But heaven says, you're only at the beginning. The journey you've just walked through in these chapters wasn't just content. It was a call, adibine unfolding, a prophetic mirror held up to remind you who you really are. Chosen one. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are not just surviving, you are rising. And now, the decision is yours. Will you act on what you've received, or will you scroll on and pretend this fire didn't hit your spirit? The atmosphere around you is shifting. You've been marked, called, confirmed, and commissioned. Everything that has fought you, drained you, delayed you, it all led here. Thursday is not just a moment on your calendar. It is your divine ignition. So now, make it clear in the physical what has already happened in the spiritual. Like this message, if you know the fire in your spirit has been reawakened, share it with someone who's been holding on by a thread and needs this very confirmation. Comment below, I receive the crown. Let your words testify to heaven and hell that you are stepping into alignment. Subscribe to stay connected to the prophetic flow, because what God has started in you, He will complete. And there's more to come. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to break through. Wear the mantle. Carry the fire. Walk in the power. Heaven is watching. Hell is trembling.